Good evening. Sorry, let me just turn my TV down. Watching a program. Um, so I've been really quiet. I've been struggling recently with a few issues. Um, so I just went to a neighbour. Basically, I've had massive anxiety. I've left my flat once in 8 days, 9 days. Really struggling. So try and be quiet as well on social media. So I've not posted hardly anything on Facebook. I've commented a few times, but I've not really sort of posted anything. I've hardly done anything on Twitter, and I haven't done anything on Instagram for a long time. Not because I want to keep myself to myself, not at all, but because it's it's easier for me to stay off of it when I'm feeling like this. Don't know why. Don't know why it's happened. Not sure how. Don't know what triggered it or anything like that. But yeah, it's bonkers. So today's video, I just wanted to be about the perception of mental health, obviously from my own point of view. Now I have many of you obviously do know me, know my history, and obviously know the current situation where I have chronic pain in my lower back and my left leg. It affects both knees as well, but also obviously with depression and anxiety. And I sort of wanted to talk about the hidden disabilities, where people still have this perception of, well, if I can't see it, you can't be disabled. If you're smiling, you can't be depressed. If you're outside, you can't have anxiety. If you're walking, you can't have that much pain in your leg or your lower back. These are things that I've had said to me, that I've had thrown at me, that I've had and seen on social media, not necessarily always to me, but also to other people that I talk to about anxiety and depression. And I thought that people's perception is rather bonkers, really, to say that unless they can see it, they can't consider you as disabled. So it got me thinking, and I thought to myself, well, why would people have this? And it's because they consider it. But my own opinion is that they automatically assume that you're claiming benefits. My opinion is that people that say it tend to consider themselves hardworking, law-abiding, paying taxes and things like this. And if they can't see you being disabled, why aren't you working? Why aren't you paying your taxes? Why aren't you, why aren't you the same? And I think that's where the misconception is, and that's where the media really needs to help. And it's great that some parts of the media are highlighting mental health. We've got many podcasts. I listen to one myself that do a lot of talking about mental health, and about hidden disabilities that are hindering the diagnosis of mental health, because people may not be able to get to their local doctor, or two are sort of that on that much that what's the phrase on that strong of a pain med, that it may not be sort of shown the exact time. So like myself, now let me get these out. So I take so I really dry throat. I have got a cup of tea. Um, I take two types of medication for the chronic pain. Now, the first one, I don't know if you can see this, is, if I can get that into focus, come on. It's basically pregabalin. I know I've got a few nurses and that. No, you're not going to work. So that's pregabalin, and then I've got this one, which is Meptid, which are basically them. And that's my pain meds. Now, pregabalin is a powerful pain med. I took, when I first took them, I remember not feeling anything, and then realizing that I didn't have pain for ages. But I've got to take them regularly. I've got to take three. I take 3 pregabalin a day, and I take the 4 big ones. I take 4 of them a day, and they are the strongest dose of each. Considering that I took tramadol for a year, tramadol didn't touch my pain as much as these two have. Meptasnol on its own doesn't work for me, considering that Meptasnol is one of the most powerful ones you can get, and pregabalin, I believe it's pregabalin that's the opioid. I really shouldn't say that on camera. I get robbed now. It's an opioid, so it can be hard to take. And I've had a couple of dizzy spells because I've not taken them sporadically. I've taken them too close together, and that has caused a dizzy spell or two. I've sat there and I've gone, oh dear, I really shouldn't have taken it. I really shouldn't have taken it, because I do this quite often. I misread my clocks. Very good with Roman clocks, Roman numeral clocks, not Roman actual Roman clocks, but Roman numeral clocks. Very good with them, because I can then just sort of see it. But with the Arabic numbers that we have, for some reason, I can see 1600 and think that it's 6 p.m. And same with 1800. I know it's 6 p.m., but I sometimes just see it as 8 p.m. And the one just seems to sort of just disappear. But with this pain, now, as some of you are aware, in 2015, I was a hero. A guy went into an old girl that lived opposite when I lived down Drove Road in Billswade. Basically whacked her fence out, whacked her metal gates out of concrete. And I went to help make sure he was okay. Thought he was drunk, but he wasn't. He was just dazed. I was actually sort of, that corner of Drove Road as well, of Edward Road and Auckland Road, is actually quite a nasty bend. It can come on you quite fast, and you think that doing 30, 40 mile an hour is going to be easy, but you can lose it at that corner. I've seen cars do it. So I helped, and I sort of, his car was in the middle of the road, so trying to get it to the side, but just couldn't move. So I was directing traffic, and that was about 5 o'clock in the morning, 5:30 in the morning. Eventually, the police came and sort of told me that I can go back in, and thanked me. So that was good. As soon as I literally walked in, my brain said, "Your leg," and I was just literally in a lot of pain, very much pain. The reason is because before I helped him, on my way to help him, I jumped down the last 3 rungs of the stairs, and just jumped down, just an innocuous jump that I would do 9 times out of 10. Um, and I just thought it was just a bruised muscle. The following 6 months, because it meant obviously I was off work, because I was working for a company in Leagrave. But I was off work. So the diagnoses that I had were all completely different. First, they thought it was a broken leg, but because I limped to the doctors from Drove Road, and I was in Saffron Road, doctor's surgery. They said, okay, it's definitely not a broken leg, but we do need to get an X-ray. Had it X-rayed, nothing. You've torn all of your muscles off your bone. Okay. But then I said, well, if that's the case, then how was I still able to put a little bit of weight on it when I'm limping? All right, yeah, so it's definitely not that. After about 4 months, 4 or 5 months, I had my work. I was in regular meetings, regular contact with my team manager at work and her manager as well. So I was in regular contact with them, and I ended up having an occupational health visit. Um, and so I went there, and it's really, really hard when you've got a strange doctor who is paid by your employers to basically decide whether you're fit for work or not, to not act guilty. I always have this problem when I am walking down the road a couple of weeks ago in where I live in Olsey, and there was a police officer just sort of randomly sort of looking around. I don't know what, I can't remember what he was looking for, but walking towards him, knowing that I am a law-abiding citizen and things like this, I all of a sudden started getting really hot, started sweating, and he sort of turned and said, "Oh, good afternoon," and my brain's going, "You're guilty, you're guilty, you're guilty, you're guilty," and I'm like, so I did this stupid thing. I sped off walking, just sped off faster than I usually am, which is quite hard. Which is obviously quite hard when you've got pain. And also I've got my pain meds with me, but I knew I didn't have the prescription with me, so that could have been a hard one to explain. But it's easy to prove because I've got a certificate on my phone, so I don't have to hang around, keep paperwork on my pocket on my person. Uh, but yeah, it's so thinking I've got lipstick on my lip. I haven't. It's fine. So yeah. So I just I can't even remember where I was now. Oh no. So yeah. So feeling guilty and sort of telling him the truth of what happened and what it feels like. So he basically said, right, drop your jeans. So there's me going, oh God. This is where he turns around and says, nothing wrong with you. So I dropped my jeans and I was in absolute agony because the jeans was rubbing on my skin and it felt like something was burning. And I told him and he said, all right, okay. So he touched my leg and I jumped back, which caused a hell of a lot more pain. And then you sort of realise. And he said, I think you may have something called CRPS, Complex Regional Pain Syndrome. Look it up, speak to your doctor. So I went home, looked it up, um, made an appointment to see my doctor, and awaited obviously his report to declare whether I was fit for work or whether my then employers were going to say, look, you're unfit for work, we're going to release you from your contract. Just exactly what's happened at my current or my just gone employers, where they've said, look, we're releasing you for your contract, but please apply again when we're taking on because, well, actually the words that I remember her using was because we really, really like you. We like your stats. Your stats are really good for someone that's only just started. So just big up myself there. Um, so I looked it up and it described everything that I've got, and I thought to myself, oh, there we are. Spoke to my doctor, and she's a lovely, lovely woman, lovely girl. And I sat down. She said, "How can I help you?" And I said, "Well, I've been to occupational health, obviously through work, and they've said that I should need to talk to you about because I could possibly have something called CRPS." She just looked at me, didn't even look it up, and she went, "I agree." So that sort of took me aback, and then I started physiotherapy, self physiotherapy, and it was a physiotherapist that then turned around and said, "I don't think you have got CRPS because CRPS usually leads to hair growth and it's not extra hair growth, that is. So you get sort of longer hair on your legs, in where the pain is." Sorry, someone's banging upstairs. Okay. Um, so I looked into more into it. By this time, I then moved to Swansea. Had to start again. Um, But that didn't take long. That only took a couple of weeks, because as soon as I spoke to the doctor and told him that I'd had a physio, that I've already had physio, they said that's fine. We'll just start you from there. And I spoke to that physio, who then wanted me to do hydrotherapy, but then I did the thing of moving back to England again. So I had to go back to the doctors, and this time I was registered with the other doctors. And at one point, then I went back to the physio, and he then said, "Look, don't think it's CRPS. Fine." Spoke to the doctor, got quite angry at the doctor because he wanted me to basically start from the beginning, so pain meds and things like this. And I told him that there was no point because I'd already done it. And so he said, "Look, okay, fine, fair enough. We'll start you on. We'll, we'll do something else." So fine. So eventually, I got recommended for pain management. So blah 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 blah. Anyway, pain management team have stated that it isn't CRPS. It's just chronic pain, which is nothing could be done for it. If painkillers didn't work, then obviously that they can try other things, but pain meds are the way forward. Thankfully for me, they do work, and I certainly know when I do need to take them again. Even though they're supposed to be sporadic, I think the quack gives me sort of a little bit of leeway, saying, "Look, you are supposed to take these every 4 hours, but obviously if you're getting pain inside 4 hours, then as long as they're not too close together, then that's fine." That's for the meptasonal. Pregabalin, they're actually quite strict on don't take more than one every 3 hours. Don't take more than three a day. And make sure that you take one at breakfast, one after you've eaten in the evening, and then one obviously in the afternoon, around about sort of 2-3 o'clock. So that's my pregabalin, sort of 8, 3, and then 8 again. So that gives me sort of, So anyway, going back to mental health, when you get all that, when I was going through all of this, especially in 2015, when I wouldn't say they were misdiagnoses, I think they were just giving me a diagnosis before getting the actual proper answers, which sometimes that's how medicine works. They always, you hear it quite often, especially you've got especially with my heart condition. I hear it all the time. When I used to regularly get called, into hospital via 999, because of my heart rate was be at 180 odd beats per minute, I'd hear the paramedic say potential heart attack. So it wasn't like, you've definitely broken your leg, or it was just like, you've broken your leg. No, I haven't. Okay, you haven't. But we'll have to, give an x-ray anyway. And and it can be really, really down. It can make me feel really down. As I say, I'm not sure what's happened with this current anxiety issues. It's just a bit, just not feeling myself. I've got an appointment to see the quack on Monday, for other things as well, because I've got something wrong with my gut, my intestines, so it's all going on at the moment. But from my own perspective, I think what we need to do, whether it's myself or people as general, we need to make sure that people who are ignorant to the fact that because you can't see their disability doesn't mean they're not disabled. It's weird. It's bonkers because you don't see people. Just trying to think how I can word this. You don't really see people's disability unless unless it's one, it's really obvious, or two, they sort of make it obvious. And it's similar to that. That I think that's how it works. Where I can walk a little bit, but if I was to do anything long distance, I'd need to take a walking stick with me. Perhaps I should just, I don't need to have the walking stick unless I'm walking a fair distance, which I tend not to do nowadays. If I know that I need to go down somewhere or need to go somewhere, obviously I just use, public transport, because I've got my bus pass, or shall I have that bus pass sort of glued to my forehead? As when someone says, "Oh, you're not disabled," I'll take off my flat cap and go, "Well, actually, this says I am." That being said, there are people that do suffer from disabilities, um, seen and unseen, that lead a wonderful life, that are content, that are working, and the only reason I'm not working is not because of my pain or anything like this. It's because of what's happened in my gut. Is that, or some of you already know that I've got something wrong with my gut, so I'm sort of having daily bouts of diarrhea, and this has been going on now since May, so 4 months, 5 months, whatever it is, it's been going on. And Monday I find out the next stage. I should be getting referred, but because they want to do a colonoscopy. So that's not going to be good. But yeah, I think we just need to highlight that because because you can't see someone's hidden disability, or sorry, you can't see someone's disability because it's hidden, or because why would you want to know someone's disability? If you go up to someone, I'd find this quite rude. If someone was to come up to me and they say, "Oh, what's wrong with you?" I'd find it quite rude, and I'd be like, "Well, I shouldn't have to explain myself to you because one, it's not any of your business, and two, why do you need to know?" But unfortunately, that's the world we live in. Even one that always makes me laugh is the people that are the nosiest tend to be the ones that say that they don't like gossip and things like this. But yeah, they're the nosiest people. I know plenty of people in Billsway that do that. I see them often, where I can see them and they say, "Oh, I can't stand this because this person said that and this person said that," and it does my head in. But yet then they're the first to moan that this person with hidden disability can't work, because they can't see what and they don't see sort of the irony of their attitude. Now I'm mumbling on, and I've been mumbling on now for what, oh god, near 23 minutes. This video is completely different to what I was planning on saying, but yeah, it's very hard when you have a hidden disability, um, to explain to people what is going on, not just in here, but obviously in your body as well. And to the point where the doctors at one point said that if we think that, because they also thought that one of my nerves had got trapped, which is what was causing the pain, and they said that if we do have to operate to get rid of that nerve or to cut that nerve away, there is a possibility that we could snag your spine and you could be in a wheelchair. That's not good to hear. That's not good to hear at all. Especially when you've got a walking stick and you're limping around like some sort of geriatric bearded, you know. It's just it was just bonkers to hear. People's doctors. I know they have to give you the not the worst case scenario, but the possibility of it. Which is just the same thing, isn't it? But yeah, it's hard, and I tend not to look at someone and say, well, why are they coming out of the job centre? They're fully fit, blah blah. Are they claiming ESA? Are they claiming JSA? And I think that's the whole point. Is there is also a stigma that because you're going into a job centre that you must be fit for work. But that stigma doesn't help when you try and explain to someone that actually no, I'm not fit for work unless you want me to crap everywhere because it's uncontrollable. But they don't seem to understand that. They just automatically see in their mind their taxes being spent on someone who's not willing to work. And that's the difficulty, is that yes, there are people like that out there, but that's a very small minority of people that do that. Because every time I go into a job centre, whether they're doing it for show, I'm not sure, but I always hear them say, "Look, I've applied for this, I've applied for that," and you can't just say that in a job centre anymore. You couldn't, in the mid-90s, you probably could, get away with going into a job centre and say, "Yeah, I've applied for 4 or 5 jobs. Look, I've printed them out, and I'm going to apply from now." Now it's instead of you showing us what you've applied for or telling us what you're going to apply for, it's now proved to us what you applied for, which is why they do everything online. You can't get away from it. So, as I say, people's attitudes just need to change. One, for perceived hidden disabilities, and two, to not presume people's status in society just because they're not working or because they're not paying tax at the moment. Anyway, that's me. 25 minutes. God blimey, quarter of a century. Quarter of a century. What the fuck am I talking about? Bloody hell! See, look, I'm confused now. I'm utterly confused. I think it's pain med time. Anyway, yep. Thank you very much. 26 minutes. Toodle pip.